Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. It is Tuesday, January 23rd, and I wanted to make this video to give an explanation of what the Lightning Network is and how Bitcoin is going to utilize it to improve performance, and as well as some people saying that Bitcoin being on a Lightning Network could be adopted by banks and take business away from Ripple XRP. So we'll get into that, but first let's start off with the Lightning Network. So as you guys know, high fees and long confirmation times have really made Bitcoin lose some of its utility. Less people are using it for transactions because it's just super slow and the fees are ridiculous. However, Bitcoin is moving to what's called a Lightning Network, which would make transactions faster and cheaper. So what is the Lightning Network, guys? It's essentially a second layer that uses, a second layer solution that uses payment channels for rapid transactions and minimal fees. It is not exclusive to Bitcoin. Other cryptos can use it as well, such as Litecoin. Now, I'm going to give you guys a very simple breakdown of in layman's terms, so it's easy for you to understand. I don't want to get too technical because at the end of the day, we don't need to know every single technical aspect, but we need to understand how it works at least. So think of the blockchain like a highway that you drive down on with a car, and on that highway, there's only a certain amount of cars that could fit at a given time. The Lightning Network builds a second layer on top of that highway, and it allows for more cars, essentially, or transactions, and it frees up room on the blockchain, essentially making the blockchain less congested and allow Bitcoin to scale. So here's an example of the Lightning Network in action, how it would be used. So let's say Peter buys coffee from Tony's coffee shop. Peter wants to use Bitcoin to pay for his coffee, but the fees are obviously ridiculous and would cost more than his actual coffee. With the Lightning Network, Peter can set up what's called a payment channel with Tony's coffee shop. To do this, both Peter and Tony's coffee shop deposit a certain amount of Bitcoin in what's called a multi-signature address. Now let's assume Peter deposits 0.05 Bitcoin and Tony's coffee shop deposits nothing because they don't offer refunds. You buy your coffee, you're not going to get a refund. The multi-signature address acts like a safe that can only be opened when both parties agree. So really it's a neutral kind of wallet, so to speak, that both parties need to agree upon before they can access the funds, depending on which way it goes, of course, the funds being sent both ways. When the payment channel is open, there's also a balance sheet that's created, so kind of like a ledger, a log, that says how the funds and the address would be distributed. Opening the payment channel happens on the main blockchain, so there's transparency. Now, Tony, the owner of the coffee shop, can see that Peter has deposited 0.05. So let Peter add 0.05 Bitcoin to the multi-signature address, and he can rest assured that he will get his money once the payment channel closes. Now that the channel is open, Peter can order his coffee, right? Whatever it is. And let's say the coffee costs 0.005 Bitcoin. To pay for it, Peter simply changes the balance sheet, right, which was created in the multi-signature address, acting like a safe. He subtracts the cost of the coffee from his balance of 0.05 Bitcoin and adds it to the coffee shop's balance. This leaves him with a balance, of course, of 0.045 Bitcoin, and the coffee shop gets a payment of 0.005 Bitcoin. Peter and the coffee shop now have to sign the updated balance sheet with their private keys. Then they each get a copy of that balance sheet. Now, Peter can keep ordering coffee for as long as he has a balance in the payment channel. Both of them can make hundreds of thousands of transactions between them because this happens away from the main blockchain. The payment channel can be closed anytime by either parties, and essentially then it takes the latest signed balance sheet and broadcasts it to the Bitcoin network, where miners will validate the signatures, and if everything checks out, the funds will be released to both parties according to the balance sheet. So essentially, the Lightning Network will reduce the load on the blockchain as it only requires two transactions, one opening the payment channel and the other closing the payment channel. Now, once again, guys, this is very simplified. I try my best to put together a scenario here that will make you guys to better understand it. So once again, it's a matter of opening a payment channel that is outside of the main blockchain, and transactions are happening there in a way of IOUs in a sense, and then it can be closed. So there's only two transactions that's logged on the blockchain, and everybody gets their funds or whatever it is, however it's being the transactions taking place, and there is a balance sheet, and both parties have to agree to it. And once again, that multi-signature address acts as a neutral party, a safe that they both have to agree upon to for the funds and things and the transaction to be completed. So I hope that helps you guys to get an understanding, at least to a certain level, of the Lightning Network and how it would essentially function. There are some other nuances to it, but once again, massively simplified there. So hopefully that helps. So with Bitcoin moving to the Lightning Network, some folks have been tweeting here, and someone from Ripple actually replied to this, that saying Lightning, if successful, makes it even harder for XRP to become bridge currency, and essentially trying to say that banks would adopt Bitcoin and use it because it's much faster now. Transaction fees are lower. However, as you guys know, Ripple XRP is made specifically for financial institutions, and they solve a lot of the problems which Bitcoin would just replicate. As far as existing problems, would just replicate majority of it. And also, here's why I don't think banks or financial institutions or any type of business like that would adopt Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a bit of a tarnished brand. And here's why I say that. Now, it's not, obviously it's being used by everyone in a sense of there's no limitations, in a sense of anyone from any country can use it, open border, that type of thing. But that also means it was used for illegal activities such as money laundering and the dark web activities and all of that. You guys know. Ripple has a clean slate and has passed regulations and compliance. It's also a company with a public face versus Bitcoin, which is not headed up by anyone. So banks are not, they're going to be taking a risk by doing that. Then you can get in trouble with government and rules and regulations and so forth. And we know that government is working on new regulations and things that they're coming after Bitcoin. These things are going to be probably rolled out this year. Also, Bitcoin, like I said, is just going to repeat a lot of the issues banks have. It doesn't solve the liquidity problem that XRP does. So here's what, and I hope I pronounced his name right. I think I misspelled it here. Jinal Surti. He is the GTM strategy and product market. He manages, I should say, the GTM strategy and product marketing at Ripple. And here's what he had to say in response to what these folks were saying about Bitcoin being on a Lightning Network. So he says, Lightning Network equals net settlement. Banks already do this today with CLS. That does not solve the liquidity problem. You still need collateral. XRP equals on-demand, real-time gross settlement. That solves liquidity. That solves the liquidity problem. No collateral is required. So he got a lot of likes and retweets on that. And he's absolutely correct. Bitcoin, even if it's adopted by the banks, it does not solve the problems that banks have. And that's why I believe so much in Ripple as a technology for the banks. And I see the potential there for money transfer companies and cross-border payments and so forth. Bitcoin, I still obviously believe in Bitcoin. I support Bitcoin because I think Ripple is very niche-oriented. It's focused on cross-border payments, financial institutions sending money between each other and so forth. Bitcoin is can be used, if it's improved and the fees are reduced, for daily transactions. So once again, going back to Peter buying coffee, or you're going and shopping online, whatever it may be. So I think they can both coexist in the digital realm for currency, and because they serve different purposes. but could potentially Ripple expand beyond just financial institutions? Sure. But I think right now they're focused on that, and Bitcoin is more on the daily transactions and usage of it as a currency for normal transactions. So I hope this helps, guys. I hope my explanation and scenario there really helped you to get an understanding of the Lightning Network, and of course why I don't think Bitcoin getting on a Lightning Network would steal any business away from Ripple. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But what do you guys think about this? And what do you think about the Lightning Network? And, would it help Bitcoin? And, leave your comments in the comment section below, and thumbs up if you like this video. And please subscribe for more videos on Bitcoin and Ripple and other cryptocurrencies. I will talk to you guys later.